We're going to be going into to look at this model we ran this morning. So everyone in this model began in a healthy state, and that was shown by green. Over time, they became ill, shown by red, and upon becoming ill, they had a certain frequency with which they would present for the clinic. So a rate of 50% per year, they would move to the clinic, to the nearest clinic. Now, how was that nearest clinic determined? It was determined up here when they came into the state chart. We determined their nearest clinic as saved in this variable. We furthermore, as they entered the state, we jumped them to their home location. So initially they'd start in their home. So when they departed for care, when they developed a need, when they sought care, it was contingent upon them being ill, contingent upon that they had a 50% chance per year of seeking care. And upon seeking care, they would move towards the nearest clinic. And they would move towards it over time in a gradual sort of way. They spent a period in transit to care, and this transition, arriving at care, brought them to the point where they were under care. Having arrived at care, after some period of time, a period of 1 day, they received a message that said that they were cured, which was sent to this other state chart. We told this other state chart, go receive a message that says cured. And we furthermore, besides changing the state chart to make them healthy again, we furthermore brought them back to the state of not seeking care. So after 1 day's time under care, they went back to the state of not seeking care anymore. The one blemish that was notable in the model, which I did not expect, I thought was actually unneeded, was the fact that we needed to periodically sort of re-examine their status so that it would examine whether they're ill. I thought that was something that would be handled automatically by synchronization between the state charts. And I'm surprised at that, but it is a fix that works adequately. So every month we re-examine their illness status.
How did you realize that you needed to do that?
Because I saw a pathology which is characteristic of that. I recognized the lion by its claw. Specifically, I saw a pathology where, here, I'll tell it to ignore this. I saw a pathology whereby a large part of the population was becoming ill. So the question was, how did I recognize that I needed this self-transition here, that I needed it to sort of re-examine it? Well, I recognized the symptoms. So people were drawing ill, and many of them initially were seeking care, but then they stopped seeking care, and yet the population as a whole seemed almost uniformly ill. I then went down to the level of the population members and started sleuthing. I took up the track, and here I saw that this person is ill, but they're not seeking care. And I noticed that there wasn't even a countdown along this departing for care axis. Similarly the next, and one after other, in heinous sort of in heinous order. They all had this property of being ill but not seeking care, and that to me was a sign that there was a real problem with this exit here. And my suspicion immediately alighted on the fact that there was this condition here that you must be ill to depart for care. One way I could have double-checked that is I could have commented this out and then tried run it and seen, okay, did it work? Normally I'd save it under a different name. And now you see everyone goes for care, and then they come back, but then they resume presenting for care. So this to me suggested that this guard was not being reevaluated. It was not being re-examined. Now, there's ways I can trace that I can know whether it's being re-examined. I could call a function at this point and have that function report I'm being called and I'd actually see, is this in fact being re-examined, this guard? I could have a function report, hey, I'm being called, and just put that function name in here, call it, and it would tell me if it's being called, if the guard is being reevaluated. But I've seen this sign symptom before where it's not reevaluating a guard, and so I simply here had it re-examine here periodically. Now, there's a better way to do it here. There's a better way to do it in the following sense. Rather than re-examining it here in this fashion periodically, I could actually have this departing for care be contingent upon receipt of a message, for example, a message sent while they're ill. That would be another possibility. I'm going to leave it like this for now, for simplicity, to avoid getting different people with different versions. But
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
yes.
They said they would like to know the truth now.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to take a vote,
Yeah.
or take a poll as to how many people want each option?
Yes. No to vote it.
Well, no, it's not a vote because we're not going with only one option. You're actually getting a breakdown. How many people want each option, right?
Yeah. So that's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you for your linguistic precision. So tomorrow lunch is a different setup. I guess we won't be going to the faculty club. It'll be hosted here, provided by the same people who are providing the lunches. I just
The breakfast.
They will be providing a lunch tomorrow. There's 3 options that they have easily available. Just want to take a quick poll to see who likes what, to see if it's a good idea. So the one option is lasagna with Caesar salad and garlic toast. It can be veg or non-veg, meat or without meat. The next one is the Smiley's gourmet fried chicken, tossed salad with dressing, and lemon roast potatoes. And the other one is we can have assorted wraps brought in. So there can be fresh vegetables with dip and dessert, and you can have meat or no meat or what have you. So I wanted to know, we've got the lasagna, veg or no veg, we've got chicken, fried chicken, not veg, and the assorted wraps, which can be veg or non-veg. So maybe we can take a quick poll about what people think of those 3 options, if they would like to have one of those options. And then we can also ask from that if you want the vegetarian version. So who here thinks that they might like the lasagna option? Meat or no meat, either option. 2, 4, 6, 7,
Oh.
8?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you write? I'll write it.
Yeah. Here, I'll. So let's do it in the most fine-grained category. So here we'll do veggie lasagna. How many?
2, 3.
3. Okay.
Including you, mate.
Okay. 3. 3 veggie lasagna. Non-veggie lasagna.
5.
Okay.
Okay. Then there's a fried chicken with tossed salad or Caesar salad and lemon roast potatoes. 2, 3, 4, 5. Or that was what? Fried chicken, salad, potatoes. 3, 5, 6. Do you care about Caesar or tossed? Caesar? Alright.
Okay.
6 with Caesar.
6.
Yeah, and then the last one is assorted wraps. We can just get them to bring out a bunch of wraps of different varieties and everyone. Okay, the remainder. Yeah. Okay, so we know there's 42 people, so I'll just deduct
Okay.
the total from that.
Okay. But don't you want veg versus non-veg wraps? That would be important.
Yeah, who's a vegetarian? Wrap wise. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, I mean, isn't it only?
Yeah. That
I'm not a vegetarian, but I like vegetables.
Okay. All right. I'll make that clear in the email.
Okay. So 9 vegetarian wraps.
8.5. Yeah.
Okay, and the balance will be non-veg wraps, huh?
Yeah. I mean, for the veg,
Okay.
for the wraps, I assume they'll sort of just provide a bunch, and if there's some left over, then whatever. So I'm not concerned about that. But I'll
Okay.
get the other ones down.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Kurt, for taking care of that. Okay. Yes, Christian.
So on the, going through this state chart, they're gonna be ill to start going down, and then under care, they're now cured.
They're now cured.
They exit, but we don't say anywhere that now that you're cured, you're healthy.
Yes, actually we do. It's, once they're cured, they're sent a message that says cured, and that's exactly what drives them back up here. So in other words, so we say, okay, we view them as being cured by this treatment under care. So on this return transition, it tells this state chart, hey, you've received this message saying cured, and this state chart now puts them in that state.
So when they come back to not seeking, then
by that point they're healthy again.
Some are ill. Supposedly, right?
Say that again?
When they're on the exit,
Yeah.
they are now sent a message.
Cured.
Cured, so.
So any that were in the ill state are now become healthy.
Right. So they don't actually go back to the not seeking care, because you can only have ill people, or only the departing people are ill.
Well, they go back to not seeking care, but it's only the people coming down here departing for care. That's limited to people who are ill.
So that's what you're saying. You have to reassess who's ill. And
right.
Okay.
Right. So in other words, this state is filled with people, some of whom are ill, some of whom are healthy. Now, of those, only ill people depart for care. Is what's depicted here. They then leave for care. They're in transit for some time. They arrive at care. They spend time under care. Upon finishing that time under care, within a day, they then become cured. That's indicated by transitioning them in this other state chart back to healthy, is triggered by this cured message. But they also transition back in terms of care seeking to a not seeking care state. They furthermore return to their home location at that point. Does that make sense? I sense dis-ease. I'm glad Bahare is back. So who would like me to go through each of the pieces of this model again? Because we're going to be building on this model. Yeah, Trent.
So why is it a receive message
for cured? So we're basically telling state chart, handle this message, cured. And we're not telling the state chart to send off the message. We're telling it to receive it as if it's like you receive an envelope. We're telling it, hey, this other state chart, health state chart, receive and process a message, cured.
Oh, I see.
We're telling it to process this message. Does that make any sense? We're asking. It is. It's sent from over here, but
So you view it as an action, basically sending a message, but in fact.
okay. I mean, another thing we could do that might be clearer, Trent, would be to do this. Maybe this would make it clearer to people. I could alternatively, this is one way to do it. We're asking the health state chart directly to handle it. Another thing we could do is we could send this message to ourselves, and then it will be handled by this other state chart. Is that a bit clearer?
Yep. But they're both fine. That to me is a little more logical.
Okay. So we could send ourselves this message saying, you're cured. And what happens to make sense of that, or to use that message, is this other state chart. And so you notice these people are going back to their homes in a cured state. The clinics are hubs for cures, and they're being drawn while they're sick. They're being converted to a cured state, And what's happening is to actually cure them. The key element of the cure is sending ourselves a message that's saying you're cured. So I am sending myself a message that says I'm cured, and then I'm moving to my home location. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll get rid of, if that's clearer, we'll get rid of that previous use. I'll put this up on the big screen for those trying to spot it. This is what I changed it to, because I thought maybe it would be clearer to someone. So I'm the person. I send myself a message that says I'm cured, and guess what handles that message? It's this guy here. Because I'm in the ill state, it knows, okay, if I get a cured message, if I'm in the ill state, I'll get a healthy. And then I move myself to my home position. I start myself moving towards it, and I transition back to a not seeking care state. Does that make sense? Yeah. The old one? I was asking the state chart to directly handle it, rather than just sending myself a message and having that eventually routed to the other state chart. I was telling the other state chart, hey, look, you've got a message. Go process this message. Go receive this message. You particular state chart, go handle this, okay? And, that's a little bit more specific as to where it needs to be handled, but this makes a lot of sense to me, because this is what's going to be happening when we put the people under care. We're about to put them under care, a care process, and this is what's going to be happening. This sending them this message is going to be happening under care. So that's maybe a little bit clearer to people. Does that make sense?
I was confused. That's what I want to ask you exactly. Why is it?
Yeah, receive message. So if you're confused at all, just treat it as they send themselves a message saying I'm cured. Yeah. Okay, because ultimately it's going to be that other state chart that's going to handle it. That's why I did that. I happen to know that this guy is going to be routed eventually to this other state chart. It's this other state chart that's going to handle this thing. So I just thought I'd delegate it to the state chart. Say, hey, health state chart, receive this message. Go process it.
So Nathan is supposed to be under the state chart, this message?
So this message, cured, that is being sent here is going to be handled. This is triggered here, but what it's actually doing at this point, it's basically telling the person you are now cured, and therefore it's going to transition them back from an ill state to a healthy state. Does that make sense? Okay, who needs TA help though? We're going to build atop this model. So I want to be sure we're kind of at a good state with respect to it. Question? Yeah.
I just want to make it clear. Are we thinking that the way the guard is handled when you don't have that self
transition?
Are we thinking that's a mistake? That's an error?
No, I don't think it's a bug in any logic. I think it's
Why doesn't it work? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Because it doesn't automatically know that the other state chart has changed. It's not being automatically notified that, hey, this other state chart has changed. And therefore, it's not aware of this new thing, so you have to have it periodically. This is actually quite common. In any logic, if you have a rate that's given by a variable, okay? Suppose you have a hazard rate. In the Society of Actuaries, I'm sure this is a common concern. You have age-specific mortality rates, right? So suppose you have age-specific mortality rates. Suppose people are aging over time, and you want to look up their current age into a custom table to find their mortality rate that applies, and use that as the rate, as the chance per year that they're going to die. Very common need, right? You should be aware that that's not automatically occurring in a continuous fashion. In other words, it's when it first enters that state from which that rate leaves, it figures out that rate at that current age, and it's not going to compute it unless you tell it to. It's not going to recompute it as they age automatically. You have to tell it, hey, go recompute this rate. Go recompute your rate. And so these self-transitions are quite common for those needs. It doesn't automatically know the person is getting older and sort of recompute the rate. It doesn't know how often to recompute the rate. And partly that's a reflection of the fact that a lot of things are going on in the model and it doesn't know which of them are significant for recomputing this rate. And if it recomputed the rate all the time, every time anything happened, it would be incredibly slow. So it requires you to tell it when to recompute sort of the conditions for going up. That's the truth of it. Now, to be really frank, I actually thought it did pay attention to transitions between other state charts. It would automatically recompute it there. But evidently, I'm off base in that supposition. But I want to pin down exactly when it does change. The point is, here it's evidently it's not re-examining the guard, and I wanted to recompute the guard, so I have that self-transition. Does that make any sense?
I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, because it needs to reevaluate that transition's guard, and it's not, it can't do that, just magically knowing it's changed. I would think it could do it in this case, but I was off. Yes, Jeff?
I was just saying, compare that with using an event. Using an event
Right.
rather than
Right.
comparing it. I mean, using an event tracer or
Yeah.
global.
Yeah, you could put an event in place that would have much the same goal, but that would be going off regardless of what state they were in. So this one.
There's a lot happening every year.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So this time I told it to recompute every month. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Other questions on this? Yes.
With that other way of sending the message,
Yes.
I assume that could be used then if you want to send a message that has the same message could activate different transitions simultaneously, but the other one's specific to a given state chart. So you just say you had
Yes.
multiple state charts, they
Yes.
had fires on different, the same message like keywords.
Yes.
The one would send
Right.
throughout the object, but the other one would only work in that given state chart.
So are you saying if there's multiple state charts where they depended on the same message?
Only the same exact string of the message.
Yes.
So you could have essentially
Yeah.
fire,
Yeah.
multiple things
Sure.
firing at the same time.
Yeah, I think both. So if you had multiple state charts where there are transitions contingent on the same message, I think those transitions would both fire.
Okay, but the other ones only work in that given state chart you specified.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Okay. Good question. Okay. Other questions regarding this? Yes.
When you run it,
Yes.
you find that people can stay in transit for a very long time, a few years.
Indeed. Yeah, I didn't deal with the velocity. We're just setting them at the default velocity. We could set them to a higher velocity here, and they.
So that was an answer how you actually. What's the mechanism for making sure that
Indeed.
transit is.
Indeed. Yeah, and you could set their velocity, and then they'd proceed a lot faster. Yeah, and we could do that as long as we're not setting it live, which seemed to cause the problem before. We could set the velocity up front, and people would proceed more quickly. Yeah. Okay. Other questions? Other questions? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was hoping now to be able to use this model to segue to a discussion of hybrid modeling. To take a first look at hybrid modeling approach. Our time is limited, and I'm wondering if instead we should transition to project work. So I'd like a vote right now. How many people would like to use this time to take a look at a hybrid model today, where we will capture, using this model, we will capture people's care process in a facility, in the clinic. will actually have a care process represented where they'll undergo care. Okay? How many people would prefer to instead do project work immediately? We're going to do project work. The question is, do we do it now or in about an hour's time, something along that order? Okay? Okay, it seems a hybrid is the day, is the call of the day. Okay, ladies and gentlemen then, with your leave, I'm going to switch to a brief discussion of the other sort of modeling that we're going to be weaving in here, to wit,